There we have it. The aggressive intro, as we always do here at ClearCo. We like to put that little 10-second clip together. Scott, how you doing?
It makes an impact. I'm feeling strong after watching that.
You feeling motivated?
I'm feeling motivated. Yeah.
Nice. Well, welcome to Partner Pulse. I know you and I chat almost on a daily basis, but so it's kind of interesting to have like an interview or a fireside chat with you, just because we're constantly working back and forth on how to make your clients better over at Merchant Mastery and how we can support them. What I want to do here is how these things work on LinkedIn Live is that it takes a minute or two for people to start filling in. And so I think a good way to do this is for you to introduce yourself, Merchant Mastery, and where you come from. And then I'll introduce myself, and then we can start going through how to make 2022 the best year yet.
Sounds awesome, Chris. That's what we're here to do, right?
Perfect.
So yeah, it's funny. We talk a lot in Slack, and here we are in our fireside chats. So thanks so much for inviting me out. My name is Scott Cunningham, as you mentioned. So I'm the founder of a Shopify partner agency called Socialite that's been around for over a decade now. I can't believe that. But
Wow.
We only work with Shopify stores, and we help them scale up growth using ads, emails, and offer strategies. So we also do a lot of like product page optimization and whatnot. But a good portion of the revenue that we're driving is coming from amazing offers that we channel through ads and upsell and resell through emails. And since founding Socialite, our agency, over the past 2 years, we saw a big need to help early stage Shopify stores. So we launched a second business called Merchant Mastery, and we help with coaching and mentoring and helping businesses build their initial campaigns and get off the ground and launch their first campaigns and get a taste of what the future could look like if they keep growing their store and reaching their dreams.
Perfect. So Merchant Mastery is more small to medium-sized businesses, helping them with the nuts and bolts to build to get them off the ground, and then you have your Socialite, which will help those brands really take it to that next level. Correct?
Merchant Mastery, kind of what we say is will help you get your first 6 figures in 6 months.
Well, I mean, right? I would sign up for that.
So it's usually businesses, they're usually doing $500 a month or $1,000 a month, but they can't crack that like 10K a month and 20K a month. And we just help them build some really strong foundations with their product pages, email strategy, understanding their customer segment, launching their initial ads, and starting to get a little bit of momentum going. With Socialite at our agency, it's usually businesses that are a little bit further along the business cycle there. They're usually doing about $1 million a year. It doesn't really make sense to hire an agency until you're at a certain level. So we're always encouraging people, like, you got to bootstrap and learn how to do these things yourself before you start outsourcing it to everyone to solve all those problems for you.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. And so I just introduced myself to everybody. Chris Bigman, ClearCo. I manage agency partnerships. I couldn't agree with you more, Scott, in terms of it. You really do need to be at a certain level before you can bring in external help to help you solve those problems that you're not able to do internally, and really bring on that agency to help you out. So I think the theme of this call today is really relevant in the fact that it's the third week of January, and what we want to do is I think you and I were chatting, and in November and December and October, you and I are chatting, and it's like, hey, I need this now. My client wants this yesterday, and all this kind of stuff, and everybody's rushing. And Q4 is like when you make a bulk of your revenue. And so at ClearCo, what we see with brands is they generate in and around 60 to 70% of the revenue in those 3 months, which is absolutely wild. And it sometimes seems a little bit crazy and all over the place, and you're just trying to connect the dots. And that sometimes comes from a lack of preparation from Q1 to Q2 to Q3, and then that will set you up for success into Q4. So I think when you and I chat, you frequently say to me, listen, luck favors the prepared. And so why don't you walk us through sort of how you recommend with Merchant Mastery setting up your your clients for success with a big Q4 and starting that work in January?
Yeah, great question. And it is a long-term play. Luck favors the prepared and rewards the patient.
Oh, I like that. I didn't get the second piece to that. I'm going to write that down.
I just came up with that right now because it's like we could be prepared, but we also need to be patient. We need to be planning for the long game, right? So when we help, like, especially with Merchant Mastery, let's just talk about early stage Shopify stores, people who are, I love these kind of entrepreneurs. I am that kind of entrepreneur. I built our agency and our school up from the ground up. I've been bootstrapping. I know all the things that go on at those stages of the business. But when we're working with business at Merchant Mastery, like I said, we're trying to help them get to the first 6 figures in 6 months, but then eventually they're going to get to a point where they're doing like $20,000 a month. That's really awesome. That's like close to $250,000 a year, right? And then all of a sudden we'll be like, okay, it's the start of the year. You're doing around $10,000 to $20,000 a year. Get ready for Q4. We're going to start prepping for this, right? And I'll talk about what some of those strategies look like, but we'll help them plan as early as Q1, Q2 on how to knock it out of the park for Q4. And like you said, 60, 70% of their total yearly revenue is coming from that one quarter. So it's not to be ignored. We need to plan and prepare as far in advance as we can. But then such a client that's doing $10,000 to $20,000 a month, by the time they hit Q4, now they're doing like $60,000 a month. And if we plan things the right way and we build off that momentum, we go into the next year and that $60,000 a month starts to become closer to the new normal, right? So we're like, okay, we went from 20 to 60. Now we're consistently getting around 60. And we want to set a new benchmark for the next Q4. And maybe we're going to hit 100, 150. And we want to keep building off that momentum, right? So it keeps on going like a nice, weird shaped staircase where you have a big spike at the end of the year, but it kind of becomes a new normal. And then you keep going up like that. So the things that we specifically want to be planning right now, and I can't emphasize this enough, like, I have like PTSD of that feeling of Shopify stores coming to us in October and being like, Scott, I want to have the biggest Black Friday ever. And I'm like, I want that for you too so much, but it's just going to be a little bit too late, right? Because there's things that we want to be doing right now. Like advertising is going to be a part of this. Email marketing is going to be a part of this. So we want to be building our pixel audiences. So we want to be getting people to the website who we can retarget with ads. We want to be building out our email list right now with new shoppers. Maybe they bought or didn't buy, who we can either transact for the first time or resell to over Black Friday. So right now, you want to be building your list. It's that simple, right? You want to be building your pixel list, building your email list. And more importantly, you're not going to knock it out of the park without a great offer and great messaging that you verified is resonating with your audience, right? So the things that we want to be doing right now, goes without saying, we want to build the audiences, but we want to test messaging, test offers, and see what is resonating with which audiences the most.
So you mentioned the audience, and so I know for you, defining that customer profile is incredibly important. And so I would assume that are you looking to build that customer profile through the running ads and getting that pixel data up front, or are you defining that customer profile before you even run those ads for those customers?
That's an awesome question. And honestly, so I do coaching at Merchant Master. We do like 4 group coaching calls every single week. We have one every Monday that's on offer and positioning. I lead that coaching call. So I'm very passionate about this topic. And then we do like a product page coaching call. We do email coaching call and Facebook ad coaching call every single week. But in mine, when I'm talking about offer and positioning, it all comes down to understanding who your perfect customer segment is, right? So we want to build a customer avatar that speaks to your customer segment and everybody within that segment, what they all have in common, right? It's a really crowded space online right now. So if you're a Shopify store and you want to go and get visitors, you're going to do some ads. Guess what? You probably know this, but like everybody's competing for your customers' attention. Your competitors are competing for your customers' attention, but so is everybody else that have nothing to do with you. So your customer is inundated with all kinds of messaging as they're browsing and surfing through the web, right? So we need to really understand our specific customer segment and their specific nuances. What keeps them up at night? What are those specific pain points and their transformational states that they aspire to become? And we really need to define those, because when you put out content that deeply resonates at the soul and at the heart of the customer, suddenly that's the only place they're going to gravitate towards, right? So it's not enough to just be like, hey, here's who we are and we do this. We want to say, hey, have you been losing sleep for the last 3 nights and your sweat is dripping through your pillow and it's keeping you up and keeping you wet? And they're like, whoa, is this company a mind reader? Because that's exactly what's happening to me. And we're like, we know. And we attract them further down the journey to the website, to the product, and on and on.
So walk me through some things that you recommend that direct consumer merchants do to define who they are selling to. What are tactical things that you can do to start defining this avatar that you're mentioning?
So if you're listening to this right now and you're an e-commerce store, I love you because you're my people. But you would know that you probably have multiple customer segments, right? Let's use an example. One of my favorite clients, we've worked with them for years, Ocean Sports out in Edmonton, not an ocean near us, but they mostly sell a lot of lake gear. Like they do sell ocean gear and like kite surfing and all this stuff, but they sell a lot of like wakeboarding gear and those kinds of things. So their customer segments could be the hardcore wakeboarder, the guy who's like competing. He knows all the brands. Or another example, there's many customer segments, but another example could be like the Lake Dad. Let's call him Lake Dad Daryl, right? We know that the Lake Dad is actually a really good customer segment because Lake Dads have the wallet, right? And the kids are the ones who are like motivating their purchasing decision. They're saying, Dad, we got to have all these cool things. Dad's like, I want everybody to have the best time. I want to be the guy at the lake that is giving everybody the memories. I want to, do all these great things. So you want to name your customer segment. Lake Dads, Lake Dad Daryl. So name the segment, give it a name, right? And then you want to know the things that he's really frustrated with and what he aspires to be. And a really good way to do that, this is one of my favorite exercises, is a before and after grid. And you want to know the before states, the miserable state that Lake Dad Daryl's in right now. He's like, it's miserable. He's miserable because he hasn't met you. He hasn't used your product. And once he uses your product, he's going to be transformed into the promised land. And now he's just this amazing human being that everybody's attracted to, and on and on. So when you're thinking about the before and after states, on the before side, the first thing you're thinking of is have. What does he currently have? Oh, well, he has broke down gear that is outdated, that the kids don't love, that is like unsafe. Those are like feature based. What does he have right now as his option, right? So he has broke down gear that sucks. How does that make him feel? That's the next category. Makes him feel embarrassed. Makes him feel a little ashamed that he's making his kids use this. How does the next category, how he feel impact his average day? Okay. So he's broke down gear, making him feel ashamed. His average day, guess what? He's not even going to the lake anymore, right? Not making those memories with his kids. They're staying at home. The next category down, this is an important one because a lot of people buy for this reason, status, right? What are his peers whispering about him now? This is literally like status is like name calling, right? So with status, his neighbors might be saying, well, this guy's like a reclusive neighbor, right? You don't want to be a reclusive neighbor. And then the next category down, the last one is good versus evil. This is like the evil in the world that your product is helping to overcome. And in the case of Lake Dad Daryl, right? He's trying to keep his kids active. If he never buys new lake gear, his kids are going to grow up on Snapchat, right? So that's pretty bad. He has broke down gear, makes him feel ashamed. He's staying at home. He becomes a reclusive neighbor. Now his kids grow up on Snapchat, all because he didn't buy your product, right? On the flip side, on the transformation, now he buys your products. He has the most amazing gear. He has the most amazing gear that's super sexy and everybody loves. Makes him feel super confident and proud. Average day, he's at the lake every single weekend making these memories with his kids and keeping active. His status is he's the lake dad that everybody wants to hang out with at the lake and be. Good versus evil, kids grew up healthy. They're bringing their friends out. Everybody's growing up healthy, all because you bought some awesome wakeboard gear, right? And with your messaging, you want to test speaking to each of those categories, right? We don't know which of those categories is going to resonate the most with Lake Dad. Is it the have and the features? Is it the feeling? Is it the average day? Is it the status? Or is it the good versus evil? And when we create different messaging, we want to be experimenting with all of the above. Like this gives us a lot of ammunition to test different messaging. We can never presume we know which message is going to resonate with Lake Dad Daryl until we validate it, right? So this is a really good way to build a profile of who your customer is and finding commonalities between all of that segment and then testing which of the messaging is resonating.
It's amazing. I wrote down a couple of things here. Number one, you sound like it's almost, you go so deep with your customers and understanding who this customer profile is, you sound like a therapist. And so you're saying just like, listen, Daryl's embarrassed. He doesn't want to go out anymore. His kids don't want to go out with him because they don't have the nicest stuff. So I think that's super interesting. Like that's how granular that you're starting to get in January, February, understanding exactly, hey, listen, who is your customer? Is it the kid or is it the parent? Because the parent is buying the gear, right? And so you and I are Canadian. So what I thought of right away is my sister, she had a hockey helmet and her cage was just completely rusted for years. And so she eventually said she was embarrassed. And she's like, I don't want to play hockey anymore because I have the worst equipment out there, Dad. And so this is really resonating with me because she stopped playing hockey. Yeah, exactly. And so
you're validating
somebody out
this
there,
for me.
there you go. There you go. Right. And so I don't necessarily know how many hockey helmets are sold direct to consumer. But anyways, that's a point for a different day. I'm just taking a quick look here at comments. This is pretty cool. We have people from Washington, D.C., Ontario, Atlanta, Florida, Toronto, Saskatchewan, Israel, BC, Nova Scotia, More in Toronto. Lots of Toronto heavy here. But anyways, we're reaching the world here. So
Awesome. Welcome,
this is
everyone.
super cool. It's amazing. And so you've defined your customer profile, or you've done the best that you can do, and it's time to start testing. I'm a big fan, and I know that you are too, of taking budget that you're currently putting against your winners that you want to double down on and triple that budget. And people are often really, really reluctant to take budget from currently executing campaigns and move them to test new budget for later in the year. How important is it from your perspective to make sure, I keep saying like new year, new creative, which is what I've been speaking
Yeah.
to my agencies about quite a bit, but like, what are your thoughts on testing new creative up front in the first part of the year so you can find those winners going into Q4?
Here's a general rule that I like to think about all the time. We always need to assume we can do better with our ads than we are doing today. Okay, so we can never be stagnant, especially if you're using Facebook ads. We know most ads have a shelf life. So if you get complacent and you launch an ad and it's a unicorn ad and it's winning and it's getting you a bunch of sales and it starts to taper off, that's going to have a big impact on your bottom line, right? So what you want to be doing is you usually want to allocate about 10% of your total spend to always be testing new ad angles, right? This is what I see all the time is like somebody will come to me and either they're like, wow, I did Facebook ads and amazing, I'm the best, it worked, I'm in such a good spot. Or, hey, Facebook ads don't work for my business, I tried it. But in both those examples, they usually just try one or two ad angles and they assume that that's the best that they can do. And if it goes well, awesome. I'm a one-hit wonder and I don't even know the pain of not
Right.
of going through the struggle and trying to get it right. On the flip side, they're like, yeah, I tried it, doesn't work for my business. Right. And I'm like, ooh, you only did one or two ad angles against a couple audiences with a couple creative. That's not a wide enough sample. Right. So what we would usually do is I told you about the customer avatar canvas. Important thing with that, I just want to focus on is people get hung up a lot on talking about like the have and the feel. You actually want to try angles that's like people don't buy products, they buy transformations. Like if I want to get like fit this year, I just told you I was exercising this morning, right?
You have to drop that in here, eh, Scott? You're working out this morning.
I gotta flex it wherever I can.
Good for you. Good for you.
Right, but I'm not buying like gym equipment. I'm buying the transformation. I want to have a healthier year, right?
Feeling.
So your product is just a vehicle to get your customer to this transformational state. People only buy to transform into something that they're not or to reaffirm their identity. So you do want to get deeper on status. Like if you look at an example of like golfing, I want to help you with your golf swing. Here's a good example of a status ad for a golf swing, right? Like your buddy's jaws will be dropping when they see you hit a 100-yard, I don't even know golf terms, but drive, right? So and that's why I don't golf, is because my buddies will shame me and they will not help me on the golf course, right? So like speaking to status, I just want to emphasize that you want to try that in the mix. So try things you don't usually try in your ad mix. But what you would usually do is you look at the avatar canvas, you're picking out like 5 ad angles, different ways to represent your product and your brand to the market. And then you would write a story. So you might try a long copy story. You might try a short one. You might try a medium-sized one, but different angles, different stories, different lenses, right? And then you will pair 3 to 5 images with each angle. So you got 5 different body copy. You got 3 to 5 different images each one. Let's say we got 5 body copy, 5 images each. That's 25 ads right there. Then we want to go and test all of those against at least 5 audiences, right? Could be interest audiences, lookalike audiences, open audiences. Now you have 125 ads that are running. And you're going to run each of these at like a $3 a day budget. And then you want to invest in this kind of experiment. Like it seems like people are like, oh, that's a lot of ads. That's a lot of budget. But you're also investing in like intentionally losing, because you're going to see which ones just fell completely flat, but it's not going to be all a loss. There's going to be a batch in there that went well. If you do a big, vast experiment, I would bet that out of that experiment, at least 5 to 10% are going to crush it, right? So you're doing this big experiment and then you're following different KPIs on what to do with the ads as they're running. You usually let them run for like 3 to 4 days, right? Because Facebook's going through this learning phase, then it kind of levels out. And on the first day after the initial 3 to 4, you're going to look at your ads and be like, okay, if the click-through rate was less than 1 to 3, eliminate all those. You might eliminate like 40 in one shot, right? And then the next day you're like, did these ads lead to an add to cart or initiate checkout? Nope. Let's eliminate another 30. You just eliminated 70. We're left with like 55, right? And by the end, you want to be left with ads that led to sales. And of those, you'll have some that were like 0.25 return on ad spend, 0.75 return on ad spend, 1.25 return on ad spend, 3 return on ad spend. There's going to be like a spectrum of the ones that led to sales. So you might even eliminate a couple losers there and then put a ton of budget into the ones that went really well.
Right. And I have my own ecom brand. It's very, very low revenue, but what I did with the pain points was launching and testing and losing and losing and testing and losing and testing and losing. And you have to do that to figure out who your audience is, what's working, what's resonating. And so I think one thing I wanted to mention on this call quickly is that we have partnered with Merchant Mastery to give $500 credit on any advance that you would take from Clearco in order to test this new budget. So we have this running for Q1 and Q2. And what we're trying to do is help agencies to help test new creative at the start of the year. I totally get that as a pain point to take budget from a current campaign that's really crushing it for you and driving revenue, that 3x ROAS that you mentioned there, and really reallocating that to 8.75 ROAS or at a loss, right? But it's highly important. And so I see a question here. I'm just going to quickly ask you because I think it's super important. I don't really want to go down the old iOS rabbit hole that is, but there's a question here about the vibes currently on digital ads post iOS update. How are you combating that's from Allison Rux? How are you sort of changing the way that you're measuring at, especially when you're testing new creative with the new iOS updates?
Ready for a value bomb?
Yeah, I want it.
Okay, there's two parts to this. One, because of all these regulations in the market, Google is going to be making some changes with third-party cookies and all these kinds of things.
I saw that yesterday.
Right? So all these regulations are coming down the pipe. That makes it even more important to resonate with your customer, right? So your copy, understanding your customer segment, deep pain points. These things are like fundamental marketing principles that date back to like the 1800s, right? So it becomes even more important now to become a good marketer, to really understand the nuances of your customer, because all the regulations in the world can't stop you from resonating your messaging with the right audience. So if you were just advertising like blind with all the iOS stuff, knowing that like you have really good copy is going to help you sleep at night a little bit. But here comes the bigger value bomb, is that there's a thing called server-side tracking that is going to give you your accurate reporting back on Facebook. Okay, check out stape.io. I have like no affiliation with them, but just from reading their homepage of their website, you will see that we could fix this. So we've done that. We've done that with a lot of the merchants we work with. We do it for our own company with our own ads. There's tools like Segmetrics. So we use a combination of Segmetrics with stape.io, but those aren't the only ones out there. But you just need to go and do some research about server-side tracking, and that's going to allow you to like use Google Analytics to track this data, and it's going to feed it back to Facebook so that Facebook can continue to build lookalike audiences and use like that accurate data to find more customers.
Beautiful. Those very, very valuable points there, specifically server-side tracking. It's refreshing to hear not some convoluted way to redefine how we measure success in marketing. There is solutions for it, and they're relatively straightforward. I see another question here. This is a good conversation, but people are joining from New Jersey and have questions. So we gotta make sure we're answering questions from all over the place.
Absolutely.
So you keep mentioning the good avatar canvas. And so the question here is like, my guess is no until you dig into it a little bit more, but the question from Staben, sorry if I mispronounced that, is like, what is a good avatar canvas audience for an online streetwear brand that you would recommend for Facebook? Like, it's not really stock, right? You have to do the work to figure out who it is specifically for your messaging, for your brand, and all that kind of stuff. There's not really a stock avatar out there, is there?
No, there's not. You have so here's how it starts. And I hear you, man. Like I know this, because when it's early stage, you don't have a ton of customers. So in an ideal world, you'd have customers. So filling out the avatar canvas would be data driven. It's like, hey, I looked at my top 100 buyers. 30% are working professionals, the other 30% are retired, the other 30% are in school, or whatever it may be, right? So you can look at that data. You can actually build avatars that are accurate. Once you get a lot of customer testimonials, that's the best way to fill out the avatar canvas, because they're spilling out how you impacted their average day, how you impacted their feelings, how you impacted their like everything, right? So you're going to use real-time data. If you don't have that data, it's going to be speculative in the beginning. So you need to make assumptions. And what you might do is go and look at somebody who's like not a massive competitor, but like a boutique competitor, kind of like you, and go and read their reviews, right? And see what people love about their products. So you might have to do a little bit of research from what your competitors are doing, but it does start off speculative. If you're doing, so let me just see here, that was a streetwear brand, right? So you might have, you might have, is it more that people want to be comfy at home, or is it after workout streetwear? Or is it just like hanging with the friends streetwear? So those are 3 customer segments right there. Comfy at home, after workout feeling fresh, looking cool with the homies.
Looking cool with the homies.
Right?
I love that.
Yeah, so those are 3 options right there. And this is like, honestly, it is one of the most annoying exercises, because you don't know all the answers, and you have to do a lot of hard work. Like I do a lot of coaching, right? And I always coach people, like, grab them by the shirt, pull them back. Hey, where are you going? You have to do this hard work first. Like, before you ever go and create ads, you need to understand your customer segment, what keeps them up at night, or else your ads are not going to perform too well.
Very, very educational. I think I really want to make sure that I give you the floor for a little bit here, maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, to just explain merchant mastery, how you help your customers. What do these coaching sessions look like? And so I just wanted to flip it over to you. This would be a great opportunity to get new brands in your portfolio for merchant mastery. So I'll flip it over to you just to chat through merchant mastery at a high level, and sort of what you get when you do join the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate handing the floor over and talking about a thing I love. So merchant mastery with our community, like, yeah, we built this as a good, safe place for like early stage Shopify stores to get the mentorship that they need to really grow. Like, the most of the businesses that come to us, we're not helping them. We're not like a business opportunity company where we're like, hey, you should start on Shopify. We're not kind of like trying to get people to become entrepreneurs. We're working with people who have already made that leap. So they already have a Shopify store. They already have a product. They already have inventory, or that fulfillment is all sorted out, right? So they have that all sorted out. And then they're usually doing like a couple $100 at least in sales, right? So we're like, okay, this is a real business. We're going to help you accelerate this. So we have like 25 hours of training in our portal that helps you nail down your avatar, helps you map out your strategy, help you with brand positioning, help you optimize your store. In like week 2, we're helping you optimize your store, optimize your product pages. We do a whole thing about 54 offers along the customer journey that have a good chance of converting high. We teach about offers, lead capture setup. We are like gold partners with Klaviyo. So we have like 2 weeks of training on Klaviyo, where you help you like, we download like 12 automated flows right into your Klaviyo account. So like pre-purchase, post-purchase, abandoned cart, sunset flows, customer win back, all the, like, we have 12 different flows that we install with you. And then you just change the template, you change the wording a little bit. And what we're trying to do in like everything I said till now is get you ready to sell when we start driving visitors over, right? So we're like, understand the customer, optimize the store, get your email set up. Then we launch an experiment on Facebook, like we just said with you, Chris, right? Like the way I was just explaining it to you. And from there, it's like optimizing your ads. And the way that we support people, it's like, yeah, go take the training on your own. But we have 2 different options of how you get coaching. It's DIY or done with you, right? So DIY, do it yourself. It's like, we have the 4 group coaching calls every single week. So you could come to a coaching call, get real-time feedback. Every coaching call is based on one of those topics. And we're going to like mentor you, get everything ready to move you along to the next step. Right. And then there's a Facebook group. So you can go in there, and there's like very active. We have over like 200 members in there. We've only been launched for like a year and a half now, not even 2 years yet. And a couple hundred members, very active place to get feedback. And you're going to be on your way. The other one we have is a done with you. This is Merchant Mastery Accelerator. And we have 12 one-on-one sessions where we sit down and implement everything with you, where you also have access to the 4 group coaching calls. So this is like a mega dive in, where we're having a lot of success on both fronts, But I think it just depended on where your store is at. Like, it's probably a good idea to start at the done or do it yourself if you're just getting out of the gate. But if you have a little bit of traction, done with you might make a little bit more sense.
I mean, you're speaking my language here. It's just when you start a brand or a company and you just want it sometimes you feel like you're on an island and you don't have all the answers and you're looking for the answers, and it's tough to find a place that you can log in and be like, ask other professionals doing very, very similar things as you, hey, how would you approach this? Has anybody tried targeting like this? And so I think that when you have a community that can help you build, especially when you can do it on your own, is super effective.
We have a guy in there right now, just posted this morning. What a way to wake up for me, for all of us, everyone in that community. He says, never launched Facebook ads before, and he's doing 74,000 pounds this month following the Facebook launch strategy. Mind you, he's been around for a while, really great business. He did all the work, got the product pages, got the email set up, but like, it's a really rewarding feeling. That's why we're in this. Like, we want to help people hit these financial targets that they're seeking out to do. The best way that we can help people is when they show up, commit, do the work meticulously, and it's really rewarding for everyone.
Well, I don't know when you do sleep, because I know you've spoken at Traffic and Conversions Affiliate Summit. You have an agency, a super successful agency, driving amazing revenue for incredible brands. I know that firsthand. You're also running Merchant Mastery. You're in the groups. You're on one-on-one sessions. So, and obviously, just to give you one more plug, you're working in the mornings. So I don't know when you find time to do that too, Scott. But it was great to have you on this call. You're so engaging. I hope everybody on this call, Jennifer, everybody else, Devon, Samuel, enjoyed having Scott on the line. And if you want to join Merchant Mastery, the links in the comments. So thanks a lot, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. If you go to the Facebook group, I'll just tell you one more
Yeah.
thing. It's facebook.com/groups/Merchant Mastery. We'll give, like, when you join, it's a free group. That's a great place to get a lot of resources. But there's going to be a question like, hey, do you want a guide that we have 54 proven offers along the customer journey? This thing's like my life's work. I made that myself. I wrote every single thing in there. So you can get that guide. And also, we'll pin to the very top. We just shared this week. It's the 29 highest converting Facebook ads that our team ran last year. So we can get you that downloaded as well. And hopefully that'll help you get set on your way this year.
Perfect. Yeah, we've just posted it again here. My social team's amazing. So again, that's facebook.com/group/merchant mastery. So go there, sign up, and enjoy all the free value. Scott, it was a pleasure.
Thanks so much.